we may as well have a talk about some of the broad strokes of what you do and what you don't around Atakhan. So we're going to have a chat about some of the things which happen around this big guy. You need to know there is a difference in how you fight it and how you set it up, depending on whether it's top lane or whether it's bot lane, because the actual geography of the map changes. As you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, there's only one tri-brush there. On the right-hand side of your screen, there are two tri-brush. It means you have to set up very differently. It means that there's different ways you access this. Sometimes you have a standoff actually in the river itself because of that. It changes a lot of how you just play the whole thing. Where this really comes important is because we say, well, there's a difference. What's the big difference? Well, it's the tri-brush. So the second point, and this is kind of zooming in on the first one, is do control tri-brush. If you do have Leona, like on the left-hand side of your screen here from one of Damwon's games against T1, you can just brute force your way in and say, no, you're not getting into the pit, stay away from the objective. If you go onto the right-hand side of your screen instead, where there's less tri-brush control, things get really messy really, really quickly, and you do put yourself at huge risk. Even if you can win it, it's not a place you want to be. And I actually think this influences the champions that we're seeing as well. I think that champions like Victor, you put down the Chaos Storm or the Grab Field inside the tri-brush, I think it affects. It's one of the reasons I know Europe hasn't done as well with it, but Misfortune, ult the tri-brush, that can help too. Leona can just walk up and tank it. I think there are a bunch of champions right now which kind of are making the most of this, because unlike Baron or Dragon, you're not in the pit, you have to find different ways to play around the terrain. But of course you can't always keep people from engaging on you while you're on the objective. You can't always stop people from just flashing and full sending it into you as well. So if people do come to fight you, one of the biggest don'ts is don't tank the damn objective. Don't tank Atakhan. That thing shreds your resistances with each second stand in the pit and each time it hits you. There's also this aura at the end which applies 3 ticks for each time it goes over. And yeah, G2 figured this out.
Because close your eyes.
So we already talked about the tri-brush control. They don't quite manage to do that. They do give it a good attempt, but they manage to force their way through the tri-brush. Well, okay, you think that's going well. They get onto it anyway. They stand on the Atakhan. They tank the aura. The shred comes in and the shockwave does even more damage. You cannot afford a tank Atakhan for that long. It can also heal. Watch this clip and watch what happens as the Smite's fight comes through as Yike gets into the pit. A clone is used from Wukong and the aura heals Atakhan off of the Wukong and also the clone of them as well, which leads to a bit of a HP discrepancy. I'm not sure if Skumon saw this coming, so I'm so sorry, G2. There are a couple of plays which didn't go the best for you, but because it started healing off the clone and the Wukong, gets a little bit more HP from that little aura thing around the Atakhan, and it makes the Smites feel really, really hard.
Okay, so when I play Aatrox and heal up to full in one combo, it's bad, but when Atakhan does it, it's okay?
It's okay, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're also
top laners always get the short
Okay,
straw.
but if they kill you, do you get like a team-wide GA? Is that a thing? Do you give that to the enemy team when you're the raid boss there?
Some
Do you feel like
players
that's fair?